They said it was a bloodbath in Mydale. You know what we consider bloodbath? Sure. Today's bloodbath aren't what we are used to back in the day.
You mean it wasn't the Bruins and the Wings on that January 1st game?
Right, but the Estevan Bruins played the Notre Dame Hounds in Mydale the other night, and I guess it got rough. And that's your hometown.
Yeah, it is.
They're still talking about the game out there.
I talked to some people yesterday. They said it was a great success. The barn was packed. The place was hyped. I think that's just fantastic. I don't know what they could jam in there. 500-600 maybe at best, but what a great thing. And I know Notre Dame had been out and done a skate with the kids maybe a week or so ago before that. I think that's great. But yeah, the town was buzzing. It's a hockey town. Think if they came to Milestone. I mean, the bar would be packed.
Talking about it for days.
I talked to some people that ran the booth. I think we call it the canteen or the concessions here in the big city. It's the booth in the small town.
The canteen.
Yeah. Good friend Rhonda Martinson. She goes, we were busy. It was our night, and we were busy.
Biggest night of the year.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, the SJHL has been very progressive, taking their product to neutral site games.
Yeah.
By the way, this Saturday, Southland Mall, 1 to 5. I'll be doing a book signing for our book, the SJHL, Heart and Soul, 50-year history. We'll have a pop-up clothing sales for the SJHL. I'll be there this Saturday, Southland Mall, 1 to 5. Love me some SJHL. They're doing great things. And Don Hewitt was here earlier saying he worries about junior hockey from CTV Regina. Don Hewitt. I said, go to the games. If everybody that was worried about junior hockey just went to the games, we wouldn't have to worry about
they'll be
junior hockey.
back on TV with their Game of the Months coming up in the new year, and the showcase right here in Regina in January as well. So
I see we have a winner. Thank you, Clark, for picking Leanne Schellenberg. You've won a $25 gift card to the Tap in Regina. Send us a DM and we can coordinate delivery. Tap is just outstanding. Now, to those questions earlier. Sandra asked, who hires the assistant coaches, the GMs or the head coaches? That is now you guys can chime in at any time, but that has been a team-by-team difference.
Right.
It's different on every team.
Predominantly, I think the head coach has most of the say. I think if there was somebody that the GM was super concerned about, he would maybe step in. But for the most part, his job is to buy the groceries, and the coach's job is to make the dinner.
I've seen it both. Both.
Yeah, a community thing where I think they asked the head coach. Sorry, I know that they asked the head coach, who's your dream team? And then the GM does the legwork and seeing the feeling out process of, the salary thing, and then they bring that.
It has changed since this cap has come into place. I mean, dollars and cents and numbers of bodies make a difference. You can't just, fill up every seat in the pews, that's for sure.
Well, speaking in generalities, when a coach and GM come in together, I always say it's like wedding photos. Everybody's smiling and arm in arm, and then at least half end in divorce. And in pro football and hockey, it's far more than half. But they come in together as friends in these hockey too and football, and then it doesn't usually end that way. But when the GM and coach are lockstep, then I think they do by committee. You said it, Dave. I think that both of them decide. I think with the Rough Riders, they both have a hand in it.
Yeah, they value each other's opinions too. I mean,
we've heard those stories of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers wanting to let Richie Hall go, or at least the fans were calling for his head, and Mike O'Shea was just
adamant.
I want Richie Hall, and so obviously that conversation must have been had with Kyle Walters and Mike O'Shea, but. That's one of those marriages. I think it's since 2013. It's been Walters and O'Shea together as the one.
Still smiling,
and they're still smiling, and they
hasn't always been.
Well, 6 years later, they win a Grey Cup.
Has any marriage?
No.
But that's just something to say to stay the course. Like you're close. Don't make harsh decisions, because now the Blue Bombers, obviously, because they're defending champions, they'll be one of the top favorites to win the Grey Cup. And they will, after free agency, still have a good nucleus of players and a strong team on the field. And if you were to break that up after 3 years and say, this isn't working, let's say goodbye to Mike O'Shea, then there's another bunch of starting. Nobody really...
You're the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. There's very few examples of a brand new coach winning a Grey Cup, like a brand new coach that hadn't been in that organization before, or something.
There are very few, but Ken Austin, 07, which made the year so special.
Yeah, but that's a special case because of his tie to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, his tie to the Canadian Football League. Like he wasn't just a guy getting his first coach; he was a football mind. And he did it, right. That's a very, very good example. But people blow up the staff, and we saw this in BC after Wally and Wally stepped back and the hardships they've had there and different teams, and you see the struggles with Jason Moss in Edmonton and all these guys in Toronto. We don't even want to talk about that after their Grey Cup win a couple of years ago. What they did to that team, and
by the way. Randy, just trying to knock off the questions as we go here. Randy in Alberta says, we never heard an announcement on Stephen McAdoo leaving. That's why you really should read 3downnation.com. They are the number one source for CFL info.
Yeah.
And I always brag that this show's the best thing for the CFL. I'd say it's the second best thing for the CFL
footnote
behind 3 Down Nation. Well, no, 3 Down had the story.
Yeah.
All rider coaches up for renewal,
Yep.
except for Craig Dickinson.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw
So that
that.
was, to me, if all their contracts are up, you don't need to make an announcement. It's news if you're bringing him back. It's not news if you're not bringing him back.
But they hired Moss. I think that what I meant was
there was a footnote on it
saying McAdoo won't return.
So, but what about, well, I have you guys here, the ardent CFL fans that you are, on Dinwiddie with the Argos. Like, listen, I hear from too many sources. It's tough to quiet the noise. You kind of got to listen to your inner voice. And I think Ryan Dinwiddie will be successful because of what I know about Ryan Dinwiddie. But Dunk's right. People across the league are saying, who are you to say that you took Bo Levi to another level? Who are you to say that you did all this in Montreal? And so that's the anti. They're saying he's too cocky. Well, I like it. I like guys that have some pizzazz that can back it up. The question is, can Ryan back it up? If he doesn't get a quarterback, he won't be able to back it up. And I guess that's what it's all predicated on. But it's just odd there. And so they fire Chaim and hire Dinwiddie and do it all in one news release. Is it classy? Is it not? Don't blame the PR guy. That's got to all be on Pinball.
Yep.
That's got to all be on Pinball. And people saying Pinball's unclassy, that would be the first time those two terms have been uttered in the same sentence.
Yeah, and quite honestly, it's the Argonauts in that town. I mean,
who would notice?
Did it even make a blip on the radar? Like, I mean, so what did you want him to do? To put out a press release one day saying we've released Corey Chamberlain from his duties, and then the next day announce Dinwiddie? Like, but if that made it better? Well, like, again, I just get so tired of this Charmin, soft culture. Get over it.
I don't know.
Who are we talking about?
Not necessarily
the people that are worked up.
No,
about
not
this.
necessarily what you just said. That could be, we fired the guy. Here's his replacement. But it's the interviewing process while you have a head coach.
Yeah,
that's like cheating on your wife. Right, that's just like you have somebody in place, but let's see what else is out there.
But if you're not looking, you're never going to get better either.
But the thing is, you could always looking, but it's that next step that gets you in trouble. Like, hey, Dinwiddie's available. I wonder if that would work out. I want to know. Let's look at this further. Maybe we'll have him on a short list.
It's not like Chamberlain was 12-6 this year.
But they're interviewing. Imagine that. Imagine if you were like, hey, there's if you're in there maybe scheming for the next season, and all of a sudden Ryan Dinwiddie's walking by, and maybe Mike Benavides is walking by, maybe Paul LaPolice walked by, and you're sitting there trying to do your work. You're like, what?
Hey, Clark, where did this note come from? TSN has just put this note up. Breaking news. The Montreal Alouettes have suspended their search for a new general manager due to limitations that stem from the sale of the team. The team also announced Eric Delorier has been appointed director of football operations. I'll say it one more time because I said it yesterday or the day before. Football guy in Montreal wrote me and he goes, are you following, this is on Facebook, he goes, are you following this disaster that is the Alouettes? And I'm like, well, I am, but I'm not trying to dig into it too far. And they've bungled this bad. And it's
they
one of
in the league.
Pardon?
The league
they as in the league.
You shouldn't use the cowbell there. You should use the gong. That's a gong show.
Or the game show.
But it bothers me that...
Oh, it's awful.
It bothers me that if you say anything negative about stuff like that, it's like, off with your head. They're so pissed off if you say anything negative about what's going on. But the truth is the truth. And even you got Kahari Jones on here last week saying, yeah, this is backward. But you know what? We've been through worse in this league. I mean, so they've suspended it and given the job to Eric Delorier, who I have a lot of respect for. Eric, I think he's good. This is what they're saying in the football world, is that nobody wants to take the job. No quality candidates want to take the job because they want to mold. They want a young guy that they can mold to the way they do things. Who would want a job? The Owls and the CFL, whoever the new owner is.
But that's the thing. Do you want a job that potentially you don't know who your boss is, and then the boss comes in and it's like, well, he didn't hire me. Like you are literally. It's like a maternity leave. Like, you're going in there, but you're done in 6 months because the new boss is coming in.
And what kind of quality candidates do you get for jobs?
Yeah, I just don't understand what the league is doing with this. Like, how can you possibly continue to just drag your feet on this? Like, this has to be solved. You're putting this team at a massive disadvantage with things like this. Recruitment when it comes to the front office. Like, it's a massive disadvantage.
Ryan Rigmaiden had turned the job down. Last I saw, Farhan Lalji reported they'd offered the job to Ryan Rigmaiden, the director of U.S. scouting for the Blue Bombers. You told me last night that he's turned it down.
Right, and apparently Danny McManus they were sniffing around him too, and everybody's
turned it down.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want a job that you wouldn't know who the owner was. Well, there's really no owner, and we could close up tomorrow, but here's the salary. And we're not really sure if you're going to get a paycheck. And we don't know who's going to be supporting you in these roles.
And how many contracts can you actually sign? Yeah. What power do you have to actually spend money?
I guess I should have asked Dunk. Can we get him back on? Ask Dunk what he knows about this situation.
He's got his doctor's appointment.
He's got his doctor's appointment. He's given the doctor's appointment.
It looked like it.
We'll be back. We have to take a timeout. By the way, I want to get you guys' opinion and the viewers on the top 10 moments of the year on the RP show. We've got a bottleneck here. Too many great moments, not enough spots. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. You're watching The Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.